Good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday. I'm having some taco y mas, a breakfast burrito, and I want to tell you a story. So today, no, not today. I had, there's a man that I dated for about 2.5 months, and during those 2 months, he had been coming up to my job to visit me, and we would have lunch together, and I wouldn't buy him lunch. I'd probably like buy him just the drink or just the meal, and he would buy the drink or whatever. Or sometimes he would get the drink for free because I got drinks and food for free at Starbucks, just courtesy, just because I was security there. And he did about like 4 or 5 times or whatever since I was working at that post. And then one day he just wasn't able to give me a call back on like where he was. He said he was coming and he didn't, and so I just kind of waited. Actually, he said he was, and then so I just waited for about an hour, and then I waited another hour, and and then I called him on Facebook. I called him on his phone, texted him. I didn't get a hold of him, and then I just waited another hour. Because I was already there at work, and so he didn't come for the lunch, and I could have just taken lunch whenever. I'm security. I don't really work for the store. I work at the store for a different company, and so I had the freedom to just take lunch whenever he came. So I just kept waiting, just doing my rounds, working, doing security. I remember I had to bus someone at least and just kind of watch another person. But I would like go back to the front and just wait and just see if he would like come in. Maybe his phone died or whatever. But later on, after I got off that shift, I remember him giving me a call the next day. He was like, "Hey, what's up, babe?" And I was just like, "Oh, what happened?" Like yesterday. And he was just like, "Oh, he had said something," and my reaction was just like, "So like, what kept you from like remembering that you said you were on your way? What kept you from remembering that you said I'll be up there and it only takes about 20 minutes. I'll leave in 20 minutes and then it'll take me 20 minutes." I remember you distinctly saying that. Like what prevented you also from like remembering that you committed that you were coming or whatever. So I just wanted to know that part as well. Not just because I know you didn't come, but I wanted to know what kept you from remembering that you said you were coming. So he was just like, "I don't know," and I was like, okay. And so sometimes when there's just to me, when there's a consecutive amount of things that you do that are so sweet or so nice or so wonderful or so lovely or just so positive, then when there's just something that goes sour or negative or whatever, it's easy to just kind of dismiss it. Just take it and pocket it, put it in a file and file it away, because you may end up coming back to it again. And this first instance just needs no pressure. Write the questions down that you ask, log them. Write their responses down, log them. Because that was what kept you from remembering that you said in 20 minutes you'll take the 20-minute drive and you'll see me in how you and just because he was in the Navy, I felt like maybe he had like I'm thinking anything because nothing's been communicated to me. So that happened. And then also I remember having a Bible study, and he talked to me all the way up until I had Bible study, because he was on the phone with me when I got off work. He was on the phone when I picked my kids up. He was on the phone with me when I took my kids to the Dollar Tree and picked up like 4 or 5 snacks and then maybe some candy. And then like I picked up like 1 or 2 little bowls and 2 scoops and some tongs. And then I went home and I rinsed those tongs out, those bowls out, those scoops out that I had bought from Dollar Tree. And I poured all the snacks and stuff and just arranged them. And then I asked my kids to start cleaning the house. And it was clean, but there was just stuff out of place. And so I was like, "Hey, y'all backpack shouldn't be out here," and stuff like that. So I was on the phone with him and I was directing my kids or whatever. And then I just started trying to get writing material, like papers and pens, and like put them where my Bible study group was finna like just be in my living room. So he stayed on the phone with me to that, and I had invited him maybe about a week before, and maybe just told him about it again 3 days before, and then told him, hey, what I'm finna leave work, and this is what I'm finna go do, get ready for this. His Bible study, and he said he with his mama at the time, and that's cool or whatever, but he talked to me all the way up until I had this Bible study. I had the Bible study, had these people come over, and it wasn't nothing but, what, 4 people, whatever. So 4 people and me and my kids. And I told them that there was another person coming, and I got giddy about it. And so one of the ladies was like, who is this you're inviting? And so she wanted to know T or whatever. And I was just like, just somebody that is new, and so but also new to this, and so I never even asked them if they've been to a Bible study. So the whole Bible study ended up ending, and I texted good night, but in the morning, because we usually start off the day in the morning, because my shifts will start at like 5 sometimes, 5, maybe 6 a.m., 4 a.m. sometimes. And so I'll catch him around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. He'll get up. I think he be working out, but he also go to work. So he texted me. He was just like, hey, babe. And I was just like, hey. I was like, hey, what happened to the Bible study? And after we said hey and hi and how was your night and how's your morning and all this, I asked, hi, what happened to the Bible study? He was just like, oh man, I was with my mom, and I had to get this done. And I was just like, well, what kept you from touching base and letting me know it's looking like you're not going to be able to make it. It's looking like you're not going to be able to honor what I invited you to. So that happened. Then another thing happened where I was trying to invite him to church. And I did invite him to church. And I remember him saying that not only is he on his way, but he was just like, hey, is there another route to come? And I was just like, yeah, come down. I didn't give you directions, but I just gave you the address. But I was just like, hey, I'm already sitting down. Would you like me to come to the door and meet you outside? And I feel like I should probably do that because the service is starting and you still coming on your way. So, and yes, these are just normal things I do throughout the week. Now, the only thing I don't do now is the Bible study, because I be taking my kids to their appointment throughout the week. But I definitely I'm trying to start that back as well. But at the time I was going to church, I was doing Bible study, and I just wanted him to come. I just invited him. So I didn't say, well, you don't come, we're not going to be together, whatever. But he was on his way, and he said that he finna turn in. He said he sees some cops, and that is the security. It's not cops, but it's security that the company I work for. I just don't work that Sunday shift because I actually attend church. So I told him, y'all can ask me, but I ain't never gonna work that post. And so he said he was about to park, but he said he saw people parking and crossing the street. He said based off of how they was looking, he said he turned around and went home. And after the service ended and I did all this, looking back, seeing if he at the door so I can go wave at him, or I can get up and go collect him, because he was going to sit between me and one of my older acquaintances or whatever, because I always say hi to Miss Linda in the church. She probably she said she 89. And I told her I'm keeping this space because she wanted one of my kids to sit there so that they could focus. She was like, bring one of them over here. And I was just like, actually, one of my friend is coming. And she was like, okay. And just because of the way I said friend, she was just like, well, I hope that it starts off in the Lord. And I was like, okay, thank you. And he ain't come to host service. I remember looking at my text, seeing that he said, hey, I saw what the people that were attending your church were wearing, and so I decided to turn around because I didn't feel comfortable coming in. And I said, oh, okay. So I remember talking with him after church, and then and I said, okay, cool. So I didn't wait till the next Sunday, but I waited for a few days or whatever, and I went to the mall, and because I had been talking to him about his size, and I wanted to just get some shirts. So I got a light blue shirt, and I think that was standard or whatever. Just got a light blue collar button-up shirt, and another shirt, and it was the dominant color was blue or whatever, but it wasn't straight blue, only blue. And so I invited him over. So it had to be like Thursday or something like that. I invited him over, and I was just like, hey, I got something for you. So I had him try the shirts on. He looked in the mirror and they fit well, but he had actually told me his shirt size or whatever. So I went, and I know he got a big chest, I know he got big arms and stuff like that. So they looked really nice on him, and I was just like, would you feel comfortable even wearing this? And he was just like, yeah, these are nice. He was like, these are just plain dressy shirts, business tires, dress for church or whatever. And I was like, okay, awesome. And I was like, I'm glad you said that. Whenever you can come back to church or whatever, that would be nice. Now you have something. And he'd be like, oh, thank you. We kissed, and that was it. So, turns out we ended up breaking up because he ended up just not coming to one other event. That was the fourth time, and I was like, I'm over it. I do not know why you just keep acting like you finna show up and you don't. Two of them I had to just excuse because they were Christ oriented. And if you don't even go to church or Bible study, and I'm inviting you, and you're not feeling it, or you don't come, then I can understand. I just would like you to at least say something along the lines that you ain't really trying to come. You're not really trying to be there. He just didn't come. And he also said, he couldn't come because of other reasons. It never said he ain't trying to go to church, ain't trying to read the Bible, ain't trying to do Bible study. He said, okay, cool. The same way I invited him to my job. He was like, okay, cool. He came 4 or 5 times before. And here I am inviting you to something else, and he was like, okay, cool. So all that was last year. This year he messaged me, and he was just like, hey man, you was a perfect person for me. Hey, what you doing, what's going on, what's up, what's new, or whatever. Because I remember I had blocked him from back out of just upset, disappointed. I was just like, I think you playing me. So I blocked him last year. So I had unblocked him, and he had asked 2 weeks ago, hey, what's up, what's going on? He was just like, man, you was the perfect person for me. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I never even knew that. I would have, if you saw me as a perfect person, that shouldn't be news to me. If you saw me as a perfect person, I should have been able to pick up on wow, he really feeling me. If you would have saw me as your perfect person, then I think that we would have lasted longer than 2 months. I think I also would have never been in the, it wouldn't have been in line for me. It wouldn't even make sense for me to just kind of block you. But there were some things I was experiencing on my end too. So, but it wasn't amounting to you're the perfect person. So we weren't on the same page on that or whatever. But that felt good to read because he was messaging me that. And so I was like, okay, cool. So that was 2 weeks ago. Last week I had asked this gentleman, hey, there's a light shown on my dashboard, and it says I don't even remember, but it says something oil, and it had an icon of an oil, a can. And I was like, and I had said, hey, when I stop, let me let me take a picture of it, and I'm gonna send it to you. He was like, yeah, do that. But do you have any oil leaking from your car? I was like, no, because when I drive off from the front of my house, I don't see nothing. He was like, when's the last time you even checked your oil? I looked up to the top of this little sticker in the corner of my mirror, my window, and I was like, oh my God, it's like 2024. He was just like, girl, he's like, all right, bring it by my house, or you want me to come over there? I was just like, I'm gonna take my kids to their appointment, and I'm gonna come over there. And so I went over to his house. But then he was just like, oh, I don't live there no more. After my mom passed, I moved over here. So I went to that appointment. And then I started looking around driving. I was just like, okay, I'm doing wrong. I know my kids having an appointment, but I'm over here trying to get this free service from this man that I really like, but I really like, am attracted to, but I know possesses a quality to where he just be MIA, and he don't really be giving me any kind of like reason that adds up to like why you be gone like for a block of hours, or why you say you finna be somewhere but then you don't. So there was literally no other. Oh no, there was another thing. There was one other thing. And so I was like, I need to go. And now that I know where you stay, he was just like, hold on, just pop the hood and let me check it. So I was just like, okay. So he popped the hood, pulled out the little, I think he's called it a dipstick. And then he was like, oh my gosh, your oil is dirty. I was like, how do you clean oil? I didn't know how to clean it. He was just like, girl, he was like, all right, so you say you got an appointment. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to this appointment, and when I get over there, he was like, well, where's it at? I was like, well, I'm further in east, so it's closer over like maybe 15 minutes further away from my house. And he was just like, where on, what's it called? I was like, yeah. So I was like, he was like, okay, I'm gonna go over there. So I get to I go back to my house, pick up my children, go to this appointment, and then drive to the appointment. Pick up my children and then drive to the appointment. When I get there, I park, and I forget that in the beginning I'm supposed to be seen and give the rundown on my kids, and then they're seen. And then what he did was to go to my car. He was texting me. He was just like, you didn't even leave it open. So like, I need to open it up. And then so 5 minutes later, I finished, and I looked at my text. I said, I'm walking out. He was just like, I've been gone. I said, okay, cool. He also did that twice before, where he said he was coming over to my house, and I started cleaning up. And then I started to shower, and I was like, okay, let me just go in the shower since it's been 20 minutes. You ain't been here. And he lived like 10 minutes away. So by the time I finished showering, he had knocked the door. So I had got out the shower, unlocked it, texted him, hey, when you come to my house, just walk in and sit in the living room or whatever. Let me finish dressing. He was just like, oh, I came, but I've been gone. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, why do you I don't know why he behaved like that. So anytime he comes over, I was like, I don't know if he feels unsafe with me. He feels like he being set up or something. Like the way he behaved whenever he would come, after he would say he would come and actually come, he would leave so immediately. He wouldn't be like, well, I'm here. Where's the thing that we agreed on we were going to be doing or whatever. He would just leave. So he left that location. And so we finished the appointment. I go home, drop my kids off, drive back over to his house. And then he says, okay, pop the hood. He starts looking at the car. And we drive to the store, try to look for some oil. Walmart don't take tap. Can't get the oil. Come back to his apartment. And he's like, let's try in the morning or the afternoon. So now that you don't have no appointment, we're gonna go straight, and we're not gonna go to Walmart. We're gonna go somewhere else. And so he sit in the car, and he got my security flashlight. I was like, oh, you finna use that still? He was just like, and he tried to put it in his pocket, and he was just like, oh no, here you go. I was like, okay, cool. And I had 2 of these. So he say, hey, okay, so what's up with your son? How he doing? Because I had told him not too long ago that my son had started acting up, started getting bold, whatever. And then I had told him that I had recently dropped my son had been dropped off by his uncle at the movies, and my son didn't tell me that it was rated R. And this dude went off. He said, y'all be, he said, people out here be trying to raise pussy ass niggas and be trying to raise them to be little bitches and shit, because y'all don't be trying to allow them to see no rated R movie. How old you said he was? I said he's 12. This man said, because he got out the car and he was standing, I was in the driver's seat. He got out the car and he's standing outside my window. And he said, you think he ain't hearing all them cuss words in the school? Down at the school? You feel like he ain't saying it? You feel like he ain't hearing it on the phone with his friends? He got a phone? I said, yeah. He said, and you say he got a girl? He said, you think that boy ain't getting something right now? That's why he acting up. That's why he bucking up. I said, my son's sleeping around. He said, there's no way you think that boy ain't hunching on that woman. There are children out here that are shooting for the gold, pursuing degrees, pursuing even businesses at 12 because of the home orientation, because of their parents focusing on the time that they have after school and before they go to bed. There are children out here and their lives are being directed by intentional present parents. And there's also children out here that are out here on the streets doing things grown adults would not do. People that pay bills would never think of doing. There are children out here having sex and having babies. There are children out here selling drugs. And it's all because of one thing or another. There are a lot of children that are selling drugs, having babies, doing the worst of the worst, the things that parents don't want their kids to do. And those kids have two loving parents, two intentional parents, two present parents, two wealthy parents. But I also believe that there is a character that you can see on your children, that you can see that you acting up, you acting different. I don't believe that my son is having sex. And I do know that not only does it exist, that it's rampant and it be happening. But he got upset thinking that, oh, you think your son is not having sex? And I was like, yeah, I don't think mine is. He got upset. And for me to get upset about something in your life that you don't think is happening, but other things are, one does not necessarily mean the other. But I don't have any proof. He never met my son. But what would possess this man? What would allow this man and all of his intelligence to come to that summation, to come to that conclusion, and be so adamant that he is defending his belief? Wouldn't it be more logical for him to inculcate the possibility, to make room for the possibility that he doesn't have all the answers about my son who he has never met? This man got so upset he walked off. And I wanted to get my flashlight back, but I was just like, I don't want nothing from you. What? This man got so hot-headed and he walked off. I was just like, I don't think that is the case, but I do know what is the case. And I want us to focus on that. But also the things that are happening in our life, in your life, in my son's life, are an evidence of some things. And I don't think it's that. And I just really value the fact that because he was a black male, and I'm talking about my black son, so I went there with him, but also just his lack of self-control was off the wall. And I'm just so thankful for that somebody that I was interested in. But let's be honest, it's because he currently showed interest that it reminded me that I was interested in this gentleman. And it made me to shut down the two things that I knew that got on my nerves last time, and the one thing that I had ignored last time. Now I have three things, and that's enough. That's more than enough. And that's what I get. But also, I want to also say this video to anybody who's listening this far. There are some men and women that you are exposed to, but they may not be on your academic or on your financial level. He did express that the fact that I'm this particular time, instance, or even conversation, not this night, But I do know that that there are some men and women that you're exposed to, and that you see them, you have access to them. They may be at your job, they may be at your anything, somewhere that you are present often, or you've seen them often, maybe just at your coffee house, maybe even at your job, or whichever, or your church, or any organization you're part of. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are meeting the qualifications. There's got to be qualifications, and I'm talking to myself as well, because just because I met this gentleman at one of my security posts doesn't necessarily mean that he is in the same orbit and in the same run and the same pursuit for the same things that I'm looking for. I met this man in what looked like the same orbit because I am working at a post, and he was at that store. That's not meeting any standard. People have to meet a certain standard before they get the number, before you guys even try to think that you guys could be anything concerning a oneness or a couple or whichever. And those standards should meet the income that you guys have coming in. It could truly eradicate any jealousy, any hate, any kind of misunderstanding of the money that you have coming in, the reason why you have pursued that job, and the level of that job, if there's levels, and what you're using that income for. This car is paid off. I have another car that's paid off because I bought them both cash. My house I rent. Now this person has an apartment, and this is just like the other gentleman that was getting on me because I paid $2,100 in rent, but he paid $410. It was $450 in rent, but he's renting a studio that is filled up with instruments that he rents out to people that play for churches, that are part of bands, and they use that to practice and practice so that they can get prepared to perform. But he has a cot in there, so you sleep in there. And I've been on the phone with him where he was wiping his face. I didn't know he was taking a shower. I didn't think, and that was on me. Not even picking up on those context clues. That dude got upset with me, talking about, there was a night where I asked my kids to clean up, and he was just like, well, if you was there, what? You're right. If I was there and not on the phone and not picking up a shift, then I would have been there. But I still wouldn't have cleaned up my own house. My kids clean up after they sells. I do not clean up in the presence of my children. Now, this gentleman that I've spent this whole time talking about is was in the Army, and he has not a stipend, whatever residual coming in from that. And he still works, and he rents out his own apartment. And he has his own car. I know he utilizes the bus to go back and forth from work because he just says it makes more sense because he just walks to the bus and the bus drops him off right in front of his job. And I was like, okay, cool. If I could do that, I probably would. I probably would not, because my hours are so 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would hate to be me as a woman. I would hate to put myself as a woman in that vulnerable position at those hours of the time. And I probably can't even get on a bus with a firearm. So I don't know. I don't even know the rules about that. So unless I can hurt a backpack and maybe hit it, I don't know if I would like to do that. So I think that him getting upset about me being a Christian and imposing my views on in my reasoning and my choices toward my son, and two, he felt like I was so outdated and just delirious about my son having sex. What if my son ends up I've actually already had sex before. I could ask. He could also say no as well. But there's just some more. I've just seen people transition, and in their behavior, and in the behavior as a therapist, I just think that there are some things that way people talk and way they behave that you just because I have a degree in therapy and but I don't have my license doesn't mean that these techniques that I learned in the school cannot be applied and utilized when we are when I'm going about life and trying to derive information that isn't just blatantly said. So I've just seen some girlfriends, their jokes are kind of is it lascivious? They are more open. They're a little bit more risky, and for a moment, and then they're not. I've just seen my son also tell on his younger brother for saying certain things, and I've seen this particular son come to me and tell me his thoughts about this girl, and be open to talking to his my sister in Christ. Try to put my skirt down. Husband, and the things he talked about were conversation, and how my son was talking about what it is as a Christian to lead a girl who doesn't talk about Christ. And yet my son still pursued her, as opposed to saying, well, we need to stay friends. We need to understand what courting means as opposed to dating, because the school is pressuring, the kids at school are pressuring us. And I need to make sure I pressure them with what I know as a child of God. And so to enter that conversation and not so much to entertain it, but to harness it and to practice it, and is contrary. So he just may be a liar, I guess. Not just a liar. I think it's deeper than that, because we all are. The Bible says that we all lie, and we lie when we say that we don't lie. As humans, people really be saying, "Oh, I don't lie," but the Bible says that we not only do we all lie, but we are a liar when we say that we don't lie. But y'all should Google that. I think it would be, it's not psychotic, but like, yeah, something along those lines, to where you are your ideal self, who you think not who you think you are, but more so manipulative. Yeah, that's what manipulative. So other than that, the focus really was on the lack of self-control of the gentleman, but he wanted me to focus on the possibility of the things that are unawares to me concerning my son, which is so interesting, because he was revealing so much that was unawares to me in that moment. He and the gentleman that lives in his band studio are what I get and what I deserve when I don't ask more questions about where people that are interested in me, men that are interested in me, like where you are financially, what your home situation is like, and you just can't get the number. No one will ever be this fine. I just cannot continue having conversation when it is a emotional dump, or it's either taken away or depositing more in me. It's depositing in me thoughts that I don't need to even be thinking about myself, to where I am judging myself and comparing myself and wishing I was something that I don't need to be. They are just not where I am financially, which is baffling, because I know what it takes just to do the little that I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm nowhere. I feel like I'm struggling. I feel like I'm managing. I feel like I'm hanging on by a fine hair thread. So to me, guys that are not operating at where I am financially, I completely blind myself to the fact that, and I've completely ignored the clues that they're not even bringing in the income that I have. They're not managing what I'm able to manage. I need to completely survey what I'm able to take care of and give not only glory to God and thanks and gratitude. And once I take inventory, then I think that I will preserve myself more and protect myself more from those who are taking care of two sticks and the poop that's going to come out naturally, trying to come into my life and judge where I'm at. because there was a blatant disregard that I am one person trying to take care of this 3 kids and pay my bills and just occasionally put myself on the back burner, because sometimes that's what it takes. To me, that's what it takes. Occasionally put myself on the back burner so that I can manage it all. Some people have the capability to manage it all and not have to put themselves in the back burner. And I'm going to get there through Christ, through God. May God allow that. May God scoop me up and allow what I have just spoken to become the level I'm entering in as of today. Glory be to God. But there are just some people, and then they're not there yet, and that's fine. And that they're not there, and they don't aspire to be. But they will be angry when I am operating with them in this way, to where I want them to be in this head role. Because if you're a dude, I'm going to want to cooperate with you, collaborate with you in a way to where I remain the woman, but I maintain what I got going on, and you be the male and the provider and the protector in this setup. And if you feel like what I got going on is operating at a higher level than what you're doing right now, and you're not ready to exercise and stretch yourself to be in the position of head in this setup, make the arrangements. Let's discuss how we can rearrange some things. If not, man, move around.